Welcome to WT Kitchen, where today we're making Chirashi Sushi, where I've got a couple of special ingredients that I've brought from Japan. One of them is a very special rice from Gifu. So what's special about this rice? It's got very large grains for Japanese rice. It's also all organic, grown and very small production. So even in Japan, this I think cost me about £20 for 2 kilos. So the name of this rice is Ryunohizami, which is the eyes of the dragon or eye of the dragon. Really pretty. We're going to start by washing the rice. So to wash the rice, we have a bowl of water that's about 1/3 full in the sink, and then another bowl of water with the tap running that's almost full so that I don't create a mess. Rice goes into the 1/3 full bowl. That's got to wash for 10 minutes. So now we've got our rice that's been washed and then rinsed for a total of just about 10 minutes, which means that our 500 grams of dry rice has become 600 grams. The time that it takes to soak will depend on your rice, but the ratio of water intake that the dry rice has taken on is just about perfect. So when you make your rice, you have to soak it for the correct amount of time as to your rice. 500 grams of dry rice has about 100 grams of water in it. This rice is a little bit drier because the grains are bigger. It has slightly less moisture in it because of the type of rice. So we're going to do 970 grams, but it's dependent on your preference of how rice is cooked and what type of rice you're using. Now into the rice cooker, we're using a Vinegar who have developed a 240-volt version that they need to bring to market as soon as possible. Try not to touch the grains of rice too much or play with them too much, because once they've absorbed water after about a minute, they become very fragile. So the more that you touch them and mess around with them, the more that they break and the worse rice you're going to have. So Vinegar setting 2.5 is 2.5 cups, which is about 500 grams. Then I actually like the texture when it's on the fastest setting. I like my rice quite hard though, so if you like it softer and more consistent, less al dente, if you put it on the longest setting, it will absorb more water. While the rice is cooking, my second special ingredient is a specific red vinegar from one of the chefs that I trained under in Toyama. Hopefully I'll be able to import this into the UK some point soon. So we're going to make 180 grams of our vinegar mix, which means that we use 140 grams of vinegar. The way that this vinegar is made is that my head chef in Toyama has cheated time literally, so tastes like a 10-year age vinegar, but it's made in about 2 years. So 20 grams of salt and 20 grams of sugar, and then they'll slowly emulsify anyway, so if I mix it too much, I might as well let it sit there. We're going to make some omelette. If you strain the egg mixture, it will make it nice and smooth. And then we're going to brush the pan with some oil, but very lightly. So spread a thin layer of egg mixture over the crepe pan that Evan so kindly supplied. Actually, it looks quite nice. Good eggs. So it's sort of like a just overcooked omelette, so it's not sticky, it's not raw anywhere. And then we'll do the fish. We're now preparing all of our seafood for the top of the chirashi. We're going to start with langoustines, and we'll open some scallop, sear the red mullet, prepare the tuna and the mackerel. So gently squeeze the back of the head. Oh no, Pet is gonna come for me. And we'll use the heads as well. And twist the tail off over to it's no longer boiling water. It's about 80 degrees. Tail's in for 30 seconds, and the head's in, and we'll cook those for 5 minutes. So now to open the scallop, go and watch Tamash, who did it, yesterday? That's a knife works. So after taking the top off, just slide the knife under the top. We will put the thumb through the back of the scallop between the skirt and the scallop meat. Take the scallop or the offal off, and that's the scallop removed. We're going to wash it. Usually this should be done in salt water, but I think it turns too salty, so we'll just wash it in cold water. And always dry your seafood after, but cut that out because it's blue towel and I don't want to waste the other one. We'll take the skin off the mackerel, and we'll set our pan so that we can sear the skin of the red mullet. Just put the pan on the heat again. While the pan's heating up for the red mullet, we will just break the shells of the langoustine by pressing down on one side into the board. Okay, so we've got a smoking hot pan The reason why I use a pan to sear the red mullet is because the blowtorch, the butane and the gas kind of stuff imparts flavour onto the fish, and I don't like that flavour. So I think it's a better way to use a hot pan. You don't get as deep a sear because you're going to overcook the fish, but you'll get a nicer flavour. So now we're going to mix the rice. Make sure you take off any of the burnt bottom off, because that will affect the texture. And then you can pour the vinegar in. Cut the vinegar into the rice so that it's all even. As you can tell, this vinegar is very dark. It's a type of red vinegar. I'll let that cool to the side. So we're going to wash the trout roe. So trout roe, or generally roe has too much salt in it, so we want to take the salt out. And then we'll quickly prepare our langoustine heads. Take the claws off, break the heads in half. And then we're just taking the brown meat out of the heads. The brown meat is, we call it miso in Japan, because it has a sort of rich, earthy flavour. So with the heads and the shells of the langoustines, after blanching them, the flavour doesn't come out quite as nicely as if you roast them. So because we're using it for the meat on the inside, you can't really do a lot with the shells. So we're just going to chop through the langoustine miso, then we'll open up the langoustine claws, and carefully remove the langoustine meat with a thick chopstick. So we've strained the roe, and then we'll soak it in a little bit of soy sauce. So now we'll extract the roe from the uni, just throw it over there. Okay, uni, langoustine claws, then our langoustines we will just cut into the belly side of them. Just make sure they're clean, and then with the miso from the head, what I like to do is stuff it on the inside. With our scallop, slice it in half and then into quarters. I like leaving the muscle on the side on because I think it's a nice texture, but if you're opposed to the texture, then cut it off. Now we're going to season our trout roe with a little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of mirin, so for the seasoning of, usually it's ikura, salmon roe, I use trout roe. I like the burst of the trout roe a lot more. You always want to make it slightly sweet. Now we're going to cut our fish. Start with our mackerel. The tail is not the best texture. We're going to cut it into the belly and the back. Then we're going to score the skin. To clarify, when I took the skin off the mackerel, I took the outer skin and left the silver skin on there. A lot of the flavor in fish is actually in this silver skin, and it's where a lot of the oils are as well. So some people are scared of it. There's no reason to be. It tastes good. And we just want to cut them into nice sized pieces. Before you cut the red mullet, it's essential that you take a swig of wine. And then the tuna, we've got a little bit of chu-toro here and an akami. So we're going to cut the akami off. The akami is the lean meat, so it's very red, and the chu-toro is medium fatty. Perfect. Evan, come here.
Cheers.
Welcome, Evan.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to your own home. Next, we'll prepare our okra. So this is part of our garnish. So I like okra because it becomes like little stars. And then we're going to cut the stem side of the wasabi and just a little bit of the skin off. So just slightly peeled the wasabi, just on the end that we're going to use. Cassie's grater. So we've grated the wasabi, just to make sure that we're not getting any large bits of wasabi. Just quickly chop through it, and then you know that you've got an even paste. It's not even in terms of its consistency, but you're not going to get any large chunks and small chunks. They're all going to be small chunks and the binding. Cut the stems off the shiso. Lastly, we'll shred our omelette. Plating. Okay, so far we've made our sushi rice. We've used a very special rice and a very special vinegar for it. However, you can find ingredients that are a lot more accessible in the UK or outside of Japan. We've got some of our garnish, including some shiso, some of our omelette, some wasabi, and our okra. We've got some shellfish, and then we've got some fish, mackerel, red mullet, tuna, and on the shellfish, some langoustines. They were alive from Scotland, so very, very fresh. We've got some scallops, and then we've got some sea urchin. And finally, we have some trout roe and a glass of wine. So I'm going to place it in a very special glass. This is handmade in Venice, and it was given to me by a very good friend attended his wedding in Japan, and this was his wedding gift to me because that's how weddings work in Japan. In the bottom of the bowl, we're going to place some seasoned rice. Now you don't want to press the rice too much because the space between the rice is quite important for the texture. I'm going to start with just a few pieces shiso so that I know where to put my scallops, because scallops and shiso is a nice combination. Always plate with chopsticks. Then go with the langoustines, then some fish. Start with a couple of pieces of mackerel, some tuna, chu-toro akami, and some of the red mullet. The mackerel's color profile works really well with as a spacing between things, so I'm just making sure that I use all of it, but I'm running out of space very, very quickly. Our langoustine claws, then okra, some of the omelette, a little bit of uni, lots of uni if you want. Finally, we'll finish with some of the trout roe and just tear some pieces of shiso. So we've finished the dish with our wasabi, freshly grated, and that's chirashi done. Hold on, there was a 5-minute delay on that. Chirashi done.